In 1969, a high school student named Raymond Washington founded the Crips, Community Resources for an Independent People, a militant action group modeled after the Black Panther Party. Its membership grew rapidly, encompassing even criminal street elements. Rival groups and gangs surfaced, including the Bloods. Between these factions, war has been raging now for 24 years at a cost of thousands of lives and endless anguish and misery in the community. There are over 80,000 gang members in Los Angeles. The 8-tray Gangster Crips are among the largest and most lethal of nearly 300 gang sets spread throughout the city. This is the story of Lil Monster, as told in his own words. The only true gang expert is a gang member.
This is a quote by Malcolm X. Malcolm X said that there are two types of Negroes. There's the field Negro and the house Negro. And the house Negro, when the master's house is on fire, the house Negro will run to put the fire out quicker than the master, while the field Negro will pray for a stronger wind. When the master is sick, the house Negro will say, "Master, is we sick?" While the field Negro will pray that he's dead. I'm a field Negro, and I hate everything that America stands for. I hate the establishment. I hate that damn flag. There's a younger group of kids coming up, and they're going through the same struggles that we went through, of not having no place to play, not having no resources in the neighborhood. They have nothing to do. These people are not interested in a library because they don't want to learn history. And when you break that down to 2 syllables, it's his story, not ours. I don't want to learn about his story. I want to learn about mine. I'm not going to go to the library and read a whole bunch of books that don't pertain to the damn thing that I stand for. There's nothing for me to do. I can't get a job because of the color of my skin. So I'm going to hang out with my buddies and gangbang. What is the definition of gangbanging? What makes up a gang? I don't even know what the hell that word means, gangbanging. That's a word that the establishment made up for reasons unknown to me. And we're now labeled as urban terrorists. It all started on this corner Wednesday evening about 5:30. Basically, the police chased one of the homies into this yard over here and slammed him and tried to manhandle him. And we were located in the vicinity. We came out in force as gang members. The community came out and backed us. More officers came. You had a tense situation on this corner right here. In a situation like that, normally you would get 2 cars. But with the Rodney King verdict being fresh, you know, just handed down not an hour and a half before, you know, they came in full force. And when they came, they were trying to handle, you know, our homies roughly. You know. And we weren't accepting that. You know. The situation got tense. You know, there was a lot of pushing and shoving. Once bottles and rocks and sticks were being thrown at the officers, they then went into a retreat mode and got out of there. And when they cleared that corner, what they left is, I'd say, well over 100 people very upset. And that's what happened in that corner. You know, that's when people started getting pulled out of their cars, and Reginald Denny, the truck driver, got pulled out, you know, and so forth.
This is all gonna count right here as a bullseye.
Red is the bullseye.
You smoking something?
It is. That's why it's red. You dumb fuck.
Yeah.
He's through.
He's
through.
He would have been through.
He got hit in his cheek. He just didn't get hit dead center in his forehead.
That's what I'm talking about. Blew him up. Blew him up. Blew him fuck up.
Rag didn't hit it. He was trying to duck.
It's me. Perfect shooting. With a 45.
Once you disarm the community, you be throwing rocks at tanks like the brothers and sisters in Palestine and in South Africa. So, you know, we ain't gonna never disarm.
See how many times?
Case in point, we will never disarm. We have a right to bear arms.
Huh? I didn't get him in the bullseye. Gave him straight to the heart.
Malcolm X was...
What?
He had it right after he came back from Mecca. He had it right, and that's why the American government killed him, as we all know. They're gonna silence anybody that speaks right, or anybody they feel is a threat to their national security. I'm not too keen about Martin Luther King. He was a good man. I respect him, but that was straight up bullshit that he was talking about. Well, these people were marching and being spit on and kicked and beat up and killed, and they still stuck to this non-violent thing. And preaching civil rights, but it wasn't a question of civil rights, but human rights.
Did you have a problem with that?
That ain't the player I meant to pick.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't plan on being silenced or shot either. Tony hangs with me because he's my dog. He's my road dog. My homie, my right-hand man, someone that I can always depend on. He watches my back when I can't.
We're not going away.
Sean was an adorable baby. He was a baby that would cry, and he'd put his hand over his mouth, and he'd look around to see if he was disturbing someone. Like, I don't want them to hear me crying, but I'm really upset, you know. He was a good baby. I knew the first time that I looked at him and held him, I said, something special about this little guy. This little guy is very special.
My mom did the very best that she possibly could for my brother Kody and me. She wasn't always around, true enough. She had to hold down 2 jobs, but we don't blame her for any of the mistakes that we've made. During my 5 years in juvenile corrections, I had a lot of time to sit back and think and look at everything I put my mom through. I went in for a first-degree murder at the age of 14 after retaliating on people that tried to kill my brother. I was 21 by the time I got out. Mom's is a strong woman, but I can't see putting her through that again. I've had 2 great role models in my life, my mother and my brother. Kody's currently serving out a 7-year sentence for assault. Regardless to what he may have done, right or wrong, he's still my role model.
What's up, Jackson?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm all right. What's up?
All right.
A lot of people ask us, why are we so close? We're brothers by chance and not by choice. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to love him. But we're best friends because we want to be, and that's our choice.
What's up, homie? I was thinking about you last night, and when I was in my cage. When Vietnam vets would be in Vietnam, and they would be wounded 1 or 2 times and have to be sent back, and get an honorable discharge and probably a Purple Heart for bravery or valor. And you got people like Lil Crazy D, right, who've been wounded like 13, 14, 15 times, right? Pieces of his head missing. And then people like yourself and myself, who you've been stabbed, I've been shot several times. Where do we go when our mind has been so hung up in years, not months of combat, and our mentalities have been reduced to mincemeat? Where do we go to seek compensation, not necessarily monetarily, right? But emotionally. You know, we need psychiatric help too, and we have no Veterans Administration, and it's starting from the cradle to the grave. You know what I mean? Starting from the cradle and ending with the grave. It gets so tiring to the point where it's mind-racking. And in moments of clarity, we commit acts like suicidal acts, in which sometimes it was the results of what we go on now, which is gang activity, you know what I'm saying?
Kody was going to be an artist. Sean, I just felt Sean enjoyed reading, he enjoyed music. I knew it would be some kind of literary stuff that he would get involved in. I just knew that my guys were going to be all right. And my neighbors were very good to me. When we lived on Hillcrest, I was surrounded by different nationalities. They would take my children to the circus, they would take them to the park, because they were lovable for one thing.
Before we moved from where we were staying on 54th and Hillcrest, I think back to those times, and those were some of the most securest times in my life. A lot of times when I need to think things out, I'll go back to that neighborhood because all I remember about living over there was the security and warmth I felt. Yeah, this is the house I grew up in. Just played football on the grass. Of course, it was much greener then. I remember one thing my mother used to do that used to just kill me. After we would fight, she would make us sit out in the backyard and hug each other. And we'd be sitting there hugging each other, crying, because of the fight,
They stopped fighting each other because they didn't want to sit in the middle of the floor and hug. And especially when they're angry with each other. Well, I'm gonna hit him again. It's okay, you can sit there and hug for 8 hours, it's fine, and apologize. Now kiss him, give him a kiss. Tell him how much you love him and that you're sorry that you clobbered him.
My mom and father had moved out west from Texas in the latter part of the 50s, looking for that dream life here in the state of California.
I was married to Mr. Scott for 13 years. He and I had a failure to communicate. It's rather sad, too.
I can remember one time in particular where he came home and we can hear him in there arguing. And it was a butt that used to be on a .22 rifle. It was solid. And I can still hear the sound of it hitting my father upside the head.
It got to the point where I found myself losing respect for him as a man, as a person, as a human being. It was over. I also felt that I had to do it for them too, because we had gotten to the point where we were arguing in front of the children, and this would make them nervous.
I remember him packing things and leaving. I felt that I was losing something. I remember crying and telling him that he didn't have to go. And I remember him saying, well, you just don't understand. I don't know, I felt sad for a long time.
Hey, how's it going, Mr. Joe?
Mr. Joe was like a father to all the kids who didn't have one. He really meant a lot to me. He suffered a stroke in 1990. Now he's an example of how the government ignores its veterans.
Been all right?
Sean was about 6 years old. I took him deep sea fishing, and the boy didn't do nothing but puke and sleep.
I caught that one little fish, but you made me throw it back because it was too small. Yeah, well, I mean, that was my first fish.
Yeah, he caught one little fish while he was puking. We have a beautiful world, but the people don't have sense enough to live in it.
That's true.
Even though we were happy living on Hillcrest Street, in 1972, my mom bought a house, a bigger house, in South Central. South Central changed us. It changed everything.
We ceased being children from the time we hit South Central, because we moved into a very gang-infested neighborhood, and gun battles were raging up and down the street continuously. And we just had to grow up quick and just the Darwinistic theory of evolution, you know, evolve or perish, really set in on us real heavy. And we just had to just go with the flow. We had to roll with the punches or just be eliminated.
And then the next thing I knew, Kody was getting off into a gang situation. And I really hated that. Oh, I really hated that. I went through everything that I could get to help me in order to try and keep them out. Of course, there was no help from the father because at this point they had become my children. They were always my children.
My first encounter with gang life, I was a victim. I think I was 10, and I was a victim of some guys in the gang who lived down the street. Older guys, older than myself. I was 10, they had to be like 12 maybe. And took my money, busted my lip. And I knew that they had the power then, that alluring power, right? And in that particular area, on that particular street, everybody was the gang member. Everybody clicked around the gang. The gang gravitated as center earth. Nothing was important outside of that. So to be a part of that was to be in. And then you had the power. And then you weren't a victim no more.
The Crips were like coming along, but it wasn't the shooting and all of that. It was just the fighting and what have you. So he thought that he wanted to be a Crip, and I promised him if so, I'd break both of his legs and he could easily be one.
She was upset. She didn't believe it. She didn't think it could happen to her children, not Kody and Shaun. And she didn't take it serious for years, until she really started seeing us being gunned at, us pulling guns around the house, the gang graffiti in the room. The room had been transformed into a military launch site, and people coming over with a particular dress, a particular attitude, a particular talk.
I knew that it was a dangerous situation because I read the paper every morning. I look at the news. And it was happening to other mothers' sons, you know. They were dying and being shot up, some in wheelchairs. You know, I never wanted anything to ever happen to my children.
A friend of mine, Trayvon, and I were robbing this man, and the man hit me in the face and ran, and Trayvon held him for me. And I stomped him like for 20 minutes and really disfigured his face, stomped rocks into his face, and the man lapsed into a coma, and the police said that, came back and told the civilians when they were trying to figure out for witnesses, whoever did this to this particular person has to be a monster. And then, so when I came around at night, people were saying, man, they called you a monster, man. They were calling you a monster. They said, man, you was this and you was that. And I was going, damn, monster. Unique name, you know?
As one police officer asked, why did I allow my sons to join a gang? And I said, sir, begging your pardon, it's nothing that I allowed. Said, you know, all the time when your black men leave your black woman, you don't always take care of your black babies. I'm taking care of these black babies. I have to. So it's nothing that I allowed. I couldn't sit here and hold their hand 24 hours a day. We would sure enough get sick of each other.
I feel very, very bad about her now that I think about it, because you have to understand the mindset of a gang member. Nothing outside of the gang is important. The gang is your religion, the gang is your corporation, the gang is your college, the gang is everything that any civilian holds dear. The gang is all that. It's your family, it's everything. So nothing outside of that exists.
I don't think that young people have a conscience. I really don't. I don't even think that they know what it is. Because they can laugh and they can talk about the things. They can discuss them like it really meant nothing. I just did it. It had to be done, you know.
I get home from camp on October 10th, 1979, and he says, we're coming to the garage, I want to show you something. Takes me in the garage, and he has all these shotguns laid out on the blanket, 13 shotguns. I think like 7 maybe are sawed off. And all these shotguns that came out of everybody's house on the block. And he'd broken everybody's house on the block and told us shotguns. And he told me, Well, you know, I'm a little monster now. Matter of factly. And I said, well, hell, you can be who the hell you want to be with all these damn guns. And, but he said it proudly, and it really hit me in the heart that, you know, damn, you know, little monster, you know?
And I said, guys, look, let's be serious now. If you're doing these terrible things, when you close your eyes at night, you have got to see something. You have got to go back over whatever it is that you've done that day. You got to see some of it. It's got to bother you. Oh, Kody's, oh, Bert, get out of here. So that's the end of that conversation with the conscience situation, because they don't even want to discuss it. So I said, well, maybe they do have one. They don't want to discuss it. So it's there.
And it was strange and kind of emotional to see him go through that phase. And I didn't want him to come, but I wanted him to come because I loved him. And this, to me, was my world. This, to me, was reality, gang activity. So I wanted him to be a part of reality, but I didn't want him to lose that specialness that made him himself, which was just my little brother. But to everybody else, he was a little monster, but he was always my little brother, you know? So by him transforming from civilian to gang member, he lost a great part of his life. But he also gained a great part.
I've heard about Lil Monster when I was in high school. If you really want to know it, it excited me at the time, because I was young then. You know, at the time, you know, I was in high school. And then it kind of excited me because he was so well known that I was glad to say that my boyfriend is Lil Monster. That's my man. Then I got pregnant, and then that really totally changed Sean completely, was our son. Right here. Kershaun, Scott the second.
We're almost done.
He wears a Mike Tyson part.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Sometimes I'm worried about me and my son. About 3 years ago, I was putting gas into the car. And I had just came back from the mall. I had a lot of jewelry that Sean bought me, a lot of jewelry. These guys rolled up like they was getting gas. And he pulled this gun on me. He just went click, click. And he said, bitch, get out of the car. And my heart just dropped. I grabbed my purse and I flew out. And he said, bitch, leave your purse. And I left my purse and I got the hell out of there. And he told me, he said, well, Jennifer, I really don't want you and Punch ride in the car with me. It's because, one, it's probably a lot of people looking for me for revenge. And after that, then I was really scared. And then he told me, he said, Jennifer, you never really understood why. Now you understand why, don't you? And I just looked at him and I just really cried.
When I do go out with my family, I'm on full alert. It's always wise to have an extra set of eyes and an extra strap. Tony's a good man to have in your corner when the situation heats up because he knows how to handle himself. You know, he just helps me keep my family out of harm's way.
He goes places with us, like when we go to the mall. You know, sometimes him and his date might go to the movies with us, and sometimes me and Sean might go out, and he be the babysitter for Becky, because Becky really loves him to death. He calls him Uncle Meat. That's what he calls him, Uncle Meat. And I hope that, you know, like some couples break up and the father go this way and the mother go that way. But I hope that down the line, me and Sean really can just hang in there and coach my son. Because they say that a mother can teach a son everything that there is to know, but I don't think so. I think every child should be with his father. Every child should be with his father.
I think my son will look back and say, well, my father did this, and he did that, and At one point, you know, it was bad. And then at another point, it was good. I don't think he'll ever be ashamed of me.
Now, if he wants to gangbang, all I can do is tell him no. You know, it's wrong.
No, no, don't run into the wall, Punch. No, no, no. Punch. What you running into the wall for, Jack? You a crash dummy or something? Punch is just straight on a suicide mission.
I want total independence from the American government, and that's where liberation and the struggle continues from one generation to the next. So this is a struggle that I'm going to hand down to my son from one generation to the next. We have to rebuild to the point where we have independence.
1 second.
Fool come out, wait till he put his key in the door and grab the door handle. He got both hands occupied, right? So he said, all right, all right. So fool come out, he's standing at the curb with his girl, right? Tim come from all around the car. Freeze! Fool put out a gat and started capping. Attack, 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 right? So his only response was to get back off. So he just cleared the area over there. Right? And then they ran, and then we broke back towards Halldale, right? So we was gonna run back around up 81st and bank back on 80th, right? When we was running, you know how the trigger was. The trigger was heavy, right? We was running, he was running like this, it went off again. Right? And then I'm like this now, because he damn near hit my foot, right? Run straight into the police, man. Straight into the damn police. He got shot in the butt.
He was like in the back of the heel.
I got shot right here.
It's
back of my thigh, man. Shit.
Eventually they'll wake up and realize that it's safer to be at peace than to be at war. You know? I mean, I'd rather be able to walk down the street safely and not watch my goddamn back as opposed to looking at this car and wondering about this car, or looking at this dude over here and wondering why he's looking at me hostile. You know? I'd rather just be able to chill, you know, without having to worry about some silly motherfucker with a gun.
This my brother, this my brother, this my brother, this my brother. Something happened to him, I'm gonna go back for revenge. Something happened to him, I'm gonna go back for revenge.
That's what a true homie do.
That's what a true homie do. I hope they'll do the same for me. I know they'll do the same for me.
I like to say this too, though. Just because a nigga from HHJ, for anybody said, they don't necessarily mean they're your homeboy just because they from your neighborhood.
Right. That's right. All your homies ain't your homies.
Just because they represent the same thing you represent. Niggas out for different things.
Yup.
I need to heat things up myself. I just feel like killing right now. Well, yesterday too. It seems like after every little while, I feel like killing somebody. After a while. I just feel like just when I touch a weapon. I figure ain't no need to have a weapon if you ain't gonna go use it. I was doing a lot of thinking last night. A lot of thinking. Living. The homies, my life. Shit. I figure I can kill about 20 more motherfuckers. Go get me a job. Get married.
Innocent people will be killed, as in any war. Whether it's gangs or political war, you will always have casualties of war. Innocent people will always be killed. I've never hit an innocent person in my life because I know how to use a weapon. A weapon, to me, is just like a car. There's no need in having a car in your driveway if you don't know how to drive it. Anybody can pull a trigger, but you want to know how to use that weapon to the fullest of its capabilities.
New African militia. Build a new African militia. We have the right to defend ourselves.
Self-defense is a human right.
We will obtain our human rights by any means necessary.
I like the Nina. Oh, yeah, the Nina did justice.
Living day by day in my hood on the spot. See the same old thing, same dope fiends, cops. Just the average.
I'll pull up at a light, and my biggest fear is being trapped in my car. Because of the reputation that I have, I fear that someone will pull up on the side of me and know who I am, and he'll have that jump. I'll be stuck in traffic at the light and can't get away. So that's one of my worst fears. As a matter of fact, I try my damnedest to stay out of that middle lane, always in the far right lane, able to turn quickly if I can. Yeah.
Gangbangers hanging out. Looking for something to get into, just like the next person. Looking for opportunity to make some money if they hustlers. Jack somebody for they hoop. Or just stick a motherfucker up.
That shit pissed me off. When I see one of my enemies, I can't get their motherfucking ass. I know if they see me, if they for sure try to peel my cab, there ain't no doubt about that. Catch the light, Jack. I mean, stop right here. You should have stopped. Man, there goes something right there. Like 4 of them in one car. Damn.
Whenever I go into a spot, I'm checking all exits first. Got to be more than one exit. Got to be somewhere where I can watch my back. Got to be able to get up out of there. Yeah. I wonder where them cats from.
See, we no longer need to identify another member by the color he has on, because baseball caps play such a big role. We have the T for Texas Rangers, which stands for Trey. We have the G for Georgetown, which stands for Gangster. ETG, HHJ Gangster. His hat's gonna tell me the story. You know, sometimes you do things that may be against your better judgment. Even something as simple as stopping for a burger can turn into a gun battle.
There's been a lot of tragedies on this corner, many days, especially in the 80s. Plenty of people up here got hurt. I'm one of them had to learn the hard way. But I'm lucky I'm still living, you know what I mean? Shit, I was just up here slipping, really. It was some brothers behind the alley was having a gang fight. I was up here ordering. I know shit about it. Got caught up in the middle. They ran around here with a weapon. They chased, of course I broke, you know what I mean? That I had no weapon. They chased me down. One brother was like trying to, you know what I'm saying, get at me for how people do in the streets. We couldn't get on a good understanding. One of his homies standing next to him just pulled a gat out and shot me in the jaw. Hit me right here. Put my tongue came up through my neck. I tried to run. When I started running, hit my nerve and knocked me out, but I was on my feet, dazed. That's when he shot me in my back. I ran back this way, because after they came through, I ran that way, and they chased me back this way. By that time, I already got shot twice. I ran to Florence and just said, fuck it. You know what I mean? I thought I was gonna die. You know what I mean? But you would think you was gonna die too if blood was shooting out to both sides of your face.
When I came through here and I was walking, I was holding my hand, you know, like that. People in the living, waiting room there started hollering, screaming to somebody help me, somebody help me.
Neck wounds are very, very serious. All his wounds were very serious, frankly. He's had a collapsed lung. A lot of gang members do die here in the AR. Unfortunately, you see not only for the individual person, but of course their families. And for what it can be said, their fellow gang members really care about them too. And there's a lot of pain and hurt and rage. It takes its toll on everyone, even us here in the emergency room. We're just fortunate we just keep functioning because we have a job to do. But at the end of the day, your thoughts go back to what happened over the previous 12 hours.
Kody got shot on a New Year's Eve. It came to me in a dream the night before. And I got up that morning and I was just totally, just almost hysterical. So I said, Kody, look, let's talk. I've got to talk with you. So he said, oh, Bert, it's just a dream. So I stayed home all that day, New Year's Eve. And if I moved, I grabbed his hand. Because you could wink your eye and he would disappear. It was like he was an apparition or something, you know? So this was going on, and usually a friend of mine, we would drink champagne on New Year's Eve at the Eat Shop where I used to work. And Kody say, Bert, look, you've worn me out. I'm not gonna go anyplace. I said, Kody, if you leave home today, you're gonna either be shot up real bad or you're going to die. So finally I did leave and I went to the Eat Shop, and Kody did leave too.
One guy got a beard, a mustache, one guy got a beard, and one guy's clean shaven. But they're not dressed like gang members. I don't see no bulges where they might be armed. So the guy walks up to me and he says, aren't you Monster Kody? So I said, yeah, I'm Monster Kody. I'm from HHJ Gangster, what's up? And the guy reaches in his coat, he has a pea coat, but he can't get through to the gun apparently because it's the button. And when he reaches in his coat, Lil Hunchy runs and leaves me. When I look towards Lil Hunchy to the left and look back, the guy shoots me in the stomach. Shoots me in the stomach, point blank range, no closer than you and I are, and blows me against the wall. And the impact of the bullet, it doesn't really hurt me, but it surprises me, and the force of it blows me against the wall. And just out of survival, out of the instinct, I rush towards him, try to grab the gun, and he shoots me in the left hand, and my hand hits the wall like it's blown off, where I don't look at my hand. So now I know it's time to go. I turn around and try to run, he shoots me in the back. The bullet that hits me in the back knocks me down on my face, and I'm dazed. So now I'm getting up on my knees, and the guy kicks me in the stomach. Kicks me over, so I have no alternative but to put my leg up, just try to shield a shot. And he shoots me 3 times in the left leg, and then they run off. Well, Lil Hunchy, he ran the entire block, and he comes back. And he asks me, what happened? Well, damn fool, I'm shot. That's what happened.
The manager came, Maurice came, and he said, babes, I think you better come to the phone. Everybody's screaming and crying. Something is wrong at your house. I said, know what it is. My child has been shot. And sure enough, he had.
My first thought was is he dead? The only news I got was that he was shot, you know. I immediately raced home, looking for the weapons that I knew we had at home, which was a double-barrel shotgun and a 9mm hand weapon. Neither was there.
I went to the hospital. It was horrible because I saw so much while I was there. Other mothers there with their kids coming in, cut up and bleeding. It was horrible. Oh. A lot of people were wondering why I was not screaming and hollering, but I had experienced this. I had gone through this in my dream. I'd had it, you know. But I touched him, and I knew he was going to be all right. He knew he was going to be all right. The doctors weren't sure, but we were.
I felt the loss that I might lose my brother. You know, I felt empty. As the night progressed along, I think I was overcome with revenge than anything.
New Year's morning, I was in my bathroom, and I heard all of these voices outside the window, and I looked out. There were young ladies out there, too. They were ready to go and blow this house up. So I went out there and I explained to them to the best of my ability that what they were doing, what they had in mind was very definitely wrong.
We had a meeting at the park that day, to discuss what had happened, who was there, who was the trigger man, and what should be done.
Sean was so hurt. I had not seen my little guy cry like that in a long time. And it was just so much love there, but yet there was so much hate there. There was hate toward the people that had done this to Kody. It was to the point where it was almost frightening, because his whole expression changed. It looked like his color even changed. But I guess when you're angry, and angry like that, everything changes.
Once the sun went down, the mission was in action. We had the 2 shotguns that I had, which was a double barrel, which I had, a 20 gauge pump, a 12 gauge pump, a 8mm rifle, and 2 .357 Python hand weapons. And we started on our journey in the enemy territory. We combed each block, looking for any sign of movement. They knew retaliation would be swift. But with it being a holiday, January 1st, 1981, we knew that we would eventually catch somebody out. When we did, we ate him up.
I was very hurt. I was very hurt. I was hurt for the mother that child belonged to. I knew how she felt because I knew how I felt.
I hung out the window first. They were standing on the sidewalk. I gave them both barrels of a 12 gauge shotgun that was not sawed off. That was the person that died. The pictures that I was showed while I was going to court on it, I couldn't believe that a shotgun could actually do a person like that. It made me respect the shotgun even more. This person had no stomach anymore. It had been blown completely away. What had been the torso, the midsection of the body, was no more. It didn't look like anything human.
You can't solve anything by just going out and doing the same thing that has been done to you.
It wasn't necessarily, the person that I murdered wasn't necessarily the person who actually pulled the trigger on my brother, but he was affiliated with that neighborhood. And that's just like getting the trigger man himself. When you live in my world, retaliation has to be swift. As long as it's swift, it will make people respect your neighborhood and think twice about coming over there.
I knew that he was capable of doing that, but I didn't think to the extent that he would go to that extent. And he really surprised me, which just overwhelming. I felt proud. I felt proud that he was able to rise above the emotionalism of his brother being shot and take care of business.
We did several other drive-bys at night on 3 different neighborhoods, all enemies to my own neighborhood, because I was not satisfied with just getting that one neighborhood. I wanted to let all the neighborhoods know, affiliated with that one, that retaliation is swift.
And then I wasn't as I am now, so I didn't care about the victims. It was just them and us. It was war, and I didn't care. But I was really proud of him.
We were in a trans band, and I was sitting shotgun, with a double barrel between my legs. I remember driving down the street and seeing these guys in the street, sitting on a parked car. I looked at their faces, knew it was them. We then prepared, everybody loaded up, we rounded the corner again. Upon the second time of coming by, I hung out the window and said, "Hey, motherfucker." And when he turned around, I hit him with both barrels.
hit him in the neck. Just barely hit him in the neck, though. You know, I didn't give him, he didn't feel the brunt of both barrels like he should have, because he lived. After my initial 2 shots in a double barrel, that was it. I would sit back then and let everybody else do their thing. I can remember hitting the corner and looking back and seeing all 5 people stretched out. And I knew the job had been well done. At which point, I went over to my girlfriend's house and sat back and caught the 11 o'clock news.
When Sean looked at me in the hospital and he was crying, and he wanted to tell me so bad I could see it in his eyes, to communicate on that emotional level, man, like, damn, you know what I mean? I love you, bro. You know, and we couldn't, because we had that image, that mask. We had to be monsters, you know what I mean?
I've cried from happiness with them, cried out of anger with them. I cried whenever they were sick. I hurt for them. Whew.
This got over 100 pages in it. 3 and 4 pictures on each page. There's not one page in here where everybody on that page is out of jail. Not one page. My homegirl, Net, participated in a shooting altercation. She's now doing time in a women's facility. My homie here, Big Spike, here's a guy with 25 to life. My homie right here, Trey Ball. Trey Ball was crazy at times, but stupid he wasn't. There's been all type of stories circulating about what really happened in Trey Ball's back house that day. No one really wants to talk about it, you know? All we know is that Trey Ball died back there, and the official story was he was playing Russian roulette. I mean, I look at these pictures and I see what comes to my mind when I look at these pictures are, what was I doing when we were taking these pictures, you know, and the memories that I'm flooded with, you know. And at times I'm overwhelmed, and at other times I'm rather sad because I know I won't see that person again. You know, this is another homeboy, Booger Red. Mysteriously was gunned down one night. We're not sure if it's from another gang that was not our rival, but an ally or an old man. There's been talk that it was this and it was that. In situations like this, where we can't be for sure, who can we retaliate on? We just have to let it go. This here, I don't have any pictures of 8-Ball. This is all I have left of him, all right? And it simply says, I got out today. Call me, homeboy. This is 8-Ball, Daryl Knox. And he left his number, 777-1770. Left that on my door. At night, he was killed. And this is all I got left of him, so I put it in my photo album. You know? Alvin, you see his obituary in here. Wasn't really active, but he supported the neighborhood, you know? He never did a drive-by shooting in his life. Just a guy in the neighborhood that everybody knew he was real cool. Was at the store with his little girl in hand. God's gunned him down with his little girl in hand, you know? Think about so many broken dreams, so many broken lives. And this book right here can tell a story that, just this book alone, that no other book could ever tell.
Like, we have pride. I got A-Train on my neck. I never lived on 83rd a day in my life. I don't own a brick on 83rd. But you see how much pride I have in this particular street that I would put it on my neck for life? That's pride. You ain't never seen George Bush with capitalism on his neck or Republican on his neck. But I'm sure he's proud of it. But we take this to the extreme, our pride.
If we can put the same amount of pride into the community and instill it in the youngsters, then we do something positive and constructive for the community as opposed to just tearing stuff up. That's our role. That's our mission. I've done so much wrong in my community that helping somebody, to me, is like giving something back.
Everybody knows that this is HHJ Park. Actually, I'm glad it's like this, you know? Brings a sense of community to the park.
We teach them discipline. That's one of the things that we teach the kids at the park. And that's also something that we teach the young homies as they come into the gang. We played that role of being there, that male figure, be it positive or negative. It's there. And that's why the kids come around us.
This is the ball. This right here is you. This right here is you. You the center. You my running back. I like the way you run.
You know, these kids today have some of the same problems we did. So it's up to us to try and guide them, not necessarily into the gang or out of the gang, but through life. You know, people don't seem to understand. It's not like when they grew up, the days of Ozzie and Harry are dead. There are good fathers in the black community. You know, they've taken a beating. They've been through it all, through the unemployment, through the jailhouse. I mean, but they still are there for their kids.
They 2 years old. Yeah, they've been with me ever since they was born. It's hard. It ain't easy, but they all I got. So I can't give up on them. They haven't seen their mother since they was about 6 months old. They football fans, though. Basketball and baseball, they like all sports.
When Pops left, you know, there was a void in my life. But it was Bro who taught me to be a man, who taught me the responsibility it takes to be a voice in the community, to be a leader. You know, I've picked all that up from him.
Most of the youngsters raised in the projects of South Central Los Angeles dream of one day getting out. But fact is, most won't succeed. These neighborhoods are mired in poverty.
Inmates, serving time in the ghetto, left on these white sheets and send hail to the devil. I ain't beating around, I push, I'm going straight to the point.
My job as a community activist is to get out and agitate and intimidate and do whatever it takes. That's my job.
She told the DA that it wasn't my son, but he still wanted it. He said, I already know who it is, and we're gonna make it be him. My son don't need to go to jail for no damn $10 bill. I love him. Take care of my family.
When the establishment comes down unfairly on somebody, I feel a certain responsibility. You know, I try to get out there and express our point of view so that the people will know what's really going on.
It's a classic case of injustice with blacks and in the whole justice system here in America. It's a classic case. It's happened time and again, and it's going to continue to happen until we make some type of change.
What type of change? What do you mean?
Whatever change is necessary to ensure that our people get a fair shake, get their fair trial in court.
So then it sounds like there is some anger in this community about what happened. Do you feel that we're going to see any of that then displayed or anything?
Possibly. I mean, here you have an innocent man wrongly accused and convicted of a crime and given 7 years. Hell yeah, the community is upset, you know? What may happen, what will happen, I can't say. But, you know, eventually something will happen.
On the level of shooting at each other, then you gotta stop shooting at each other. Because it's not about turf. We've been warring with the 60s for 10 years and we ain't moved across Western yet. And they ain't moved across Western, so it's not about land, because neither one of us own nothing that we fighting for. It's not about colors, because the color of freedom in America is green. It ain't red, it ain't blue, so you ain't fighting about colors. What you need to do is rethink the situation. If you want to fight for something, come join us. Come fight for the land. You know what I mean? Fight for the land. Fight for some land that you can say is yours. Don't fight for a street that you don't own a brick on. I've been doing that for 17 years. I'm a 17-year veteran of the Crips. I ain't got nothing. I don't own a brick in this country. You know what I mean? So what you fighting for? You ain't fighting for nothing. And it's not about wearing a Malcolm X t-shirt or wearing a Malcolm X hat. It's about being yourself. You know what I mean? Being an African ain't something that you get up in the morning and put on. It's something that you are. It's something that you are. You know what I mean? It's a mind state. To be in that mind state.
All right, brother.
All right, Jack, I love you.
I love you too.
All right, free the land.
Free the land.
All right.
When I went through juvenile hall, there was no one there to guide me, to talk to me, tell me, look, brother, I've been through that shit. It's not worth it, you know? Or to just talk to me, man to man, you know? Especially after I had did the majority of my time and I was a man, you know, and I was close to coming home. There was no one there to talk to me man to man. I feel I can be that person. I feel that I can reach a lot of youngsters where I wasn't reached. And even if I can, even if I reach one youngster, that's one more than before. You know? So that's the job that I want.
It's amazing. I don't know how we made it.